NetSparker, the developers of desktop and cloud-based web application security scanners that enable you to automatically identify vulnerabilities in your web applications and web services. NetSparker scanners employ a unique and dead-accurate vulnerability scanning engine that automatically verifies vulnerabilities with their proof of concept. For more information, visit them on the web at netsparker.com or email at contact@netsparker.com. Recorded Future. They help security teams make more confident decisions faster. Recorded Future's technology automates broad collection and analysis of cyber threat data and delivers the rich external context you need to understand alerts and emerging threats. With real-time threat intelligence from Recorded Future, security teams respond to threats 63% faster and find undetected threats 10 times quicker. To get started, go to recordedfuture.com/securityweekly and sign up for the Recorded Future Cyber Daily. Every day, you'll receive an email with the top results for trending technical indicators, cyber news, exploited vulnerabilities, suspicious IP addresses, and more. Subscribe today and stay ahead of cyber attacks. Endgame's converged endpoint security platform is transforming security programs, their people, processes, and technology with the most powerful endpoint protection and simplest user experience, ensuring analysts of any skill level can stop targeted attacks before information theft. Endgame unifies prevention, detection, and threat hunting to stop known and unknown attacker behaviors at scale with a single agent. For more information, visit endgame.com.
And welcome back to the show. Time for some news, but first, some of you told us that you're overwhelmed by the amount of content we distribute in an attempt to make it easier for you to find what you're interested in. We've created our own new listener interest list. So sign up for a list and select your interest by visiting securityweekly.com/subscribe and clicking the button to join the list. You can also now submit your suggestions even for guests in our recently released guest suggestion form. So go to securityweekly.com/guests and enter your suggestions there too. So just more ways for you to make it easier to consume our content, because we love you guys and we want to give you guys stuff that is pertinent to your interest. Also, Security Weekly is going back to Vegas this August for summer camp for both Black Hat and DEF CON. If you'd like to request a briefing or a sponsor interview on site at Black Hat, please go to securityweekly.com/booking and submit your request. Woo!
Yeah.
So,
boom.
With that, time for some security news.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, do you have anything that was of particular interest? I know there's one story that I think was sort of covered across many of us. Was the Zoom vulnerability.
Zoom.
Yeah, and especially this is particularly interesting in that at Security Weekly we're consumers of Zoom and the boom 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 and the zoom and Paul's Zoom room. Did you guys get a chance to look at any of this stuff?
I did. I mean, basically it's an unpatched vulnerability. They can turn your camera on and
just by visiting a website.
Yeah, and even if you've uninstalled the Zoom app, the server part of Zoom still stays on your machine at a local host, and a website can activate that and reinstall the Zoom app without you even knowing about it.
And this was specifically under Mac OS.
Yes,
it was. So not,
FML.
So under Mac OS, my understanding of the issue was the thing that Zoom feels that differentiates them from the market is that they have a no-click join to a conference. And what they found was that there was some issues with Safari on the Mac, in that Safari was intercepting their one-click and making the users actually have to click, and this is not the desired activity. So what ended up happening was they would stand up their own local web server on the Mac to include all of the installer, it was effectively a proxy. So you get redirected to the local web server when you go to join a Zoom meeting room, and the local web server does all of the one-click mess to avoid the whole Safari issue for you. So it's a feature. But
it is a feature.
And it's the feature for that one click that results in them, having that differentiator in the market. The problem is that by having that feature now on macOS, it bypasses all of the security restrictions for Safari, and now anytime you click on one of these links or browse to a website that has one of these activations for Zoom, you can effectively be joined to a Zoom conference room without your knowledge, activating your camera and your microphone.
Yep.
to any one of these open Zoom conferences.
And it appears that it has now been patched.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, as of 2 days ago.
The patch was released. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but if you haven't patched, you probably want to.
Right.
Or you can,
and even still, it is. You can still browse to a website, and it will now become a one-click. And that's it. How many users actually know what they're clicking on at any given point when they see this stuff? Because I actually had to join a Zoom conference on Thursday and on my Mac, and I'm like, oh, wait, what?
What else am I joining?
Yeah.
Let me put a shirt on first.
Well, it was with Ben 10, so I mean, wait, that might have been child pornography.
I think I watched that last night. Yeah, it was.
It's pretty raunchy, huh?
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Now on Pornhub.
Yeah.
But Doug, you also had something in here about porn pirates.
Yeah, there was like these.
Yeah.
I just saw the story and I thought it was really funny because it was like this lawyer, and basically what him and his partner were doing was they would upload pornographic content to like a file server, and then when people downloaded the porn, they would turn around and sue you for piracy of the pornography. And people were paying them because they didn't want to go to court or have it exposed that they were downloading all this pornography. So they would just pay the guys, and they got caught. And it was kind of, I mean, there was no hack or anything involved. It was just a life hack kind of thing of taking advantage of people who were embarrassed about downloading a bunch of porn. And they now got hit with all these, like, I think it was like 1.5 million pounds or something in legal lawsuits and things from the British government for doing this. So, so they're in a bit of problem, and they both got sentenced to prison and all sorts of very elaborate things.
So they were like effectively baiting him, and what's that term when the cops sit on the side of the road with their headlights off?
Oh, yeah.
Entrapment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a porn trolling scheme. I mean, what a crazy
No, it was exactly a porn trolling scheme, and I think it might have been enticement actually. But
either way. I mean, because porn is pretty enticing, anyways. Yep. Yeah. A related story, Patrick, one that I found that we could. This becomes really interesting because of there's potentially so much depth to it, based on some of the other things that I've seen. Is the GoBot KR botnet. They're luring folks to join the botnet by serving Korean video. Like, hey, we've got out here on all of our peer-to-peer file sharing and BitTorrent and you name it, these Korean TV shows. And instead of them actually being Korean TV shows, they're the botnet client, and then the botnet gets used to distribute denial of service attacks. And I think about this, and I think this would be an amazing blend of attacks. After talking to the Thumb Drives for Freedom folks at DEF CON a couple of years ago, where they bring Korean television and other Korean media and other Western media into North Korea by dropping USB thumb drives across the border, whether it be through drones or smugglers or you name it. And I asked, like, what's the type of content that you're bringing in? And they said, we bring in South Korean sitcoms and South Korean soap operas because the North Koreans want to be just like everybody else. And they want to be just like the South Koreans. So if we're putting using South Koreans as a target, as the demographic, then why don't we include some exploits for the North Koreans?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And even better, the deal is that they found that as part of the Thumb Drives for Freedom Project is that the North Koreans have a state-approved DVD player.
Yes.
That consume media over USB.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
I'm like, what if we can develop exploits or alternative firmware for those devices that can be distributed via USB or DVD to include vulnerabilities and or exploits so that now we can make targets look like
Hey, Larry?
Yeah.
I bet you somebody's thought of it.
Well,
if I can think of it.
But the only downside of that is then the government could come around and find out who has these exploits installed and go, oh, you've been consuming illegal content, and then you're off to the labor camp.
At best.
Yeah, at best.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a downside to that kind of propaganda stuff or that kind of attack stuff. I mean, because
but if so many of them are consuming it, would that's the approach I take to crossing the street in New York. They can't hit all of us.
Right.
I don't have you crossed the street in New York?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, they'll give it a valiant effort, but
There's one Uber per person now. So,
but even said, like, great. Let's only affect those particular folks that we want to in North Korea.
well, I mean that absolutely gets back into cyber ops and all this kind of stuff that's going on, and I'm sure that military agencies are doing just those kind of things and planning for just those kind of attacks, because that's what you would do if you were doing cyber ops or whatever you want to call it, cyber war ops, or I don't know what they call it.
I would. I would bet that there's active work in this area. Would not surprise me.
No, I would be. In fact, I would be surprised if there were not. So
yeah. In fact, I would be flabbergasted if there were not.
yes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, one of the things that I've always wondered about with this kind of thing, where you can create these botnets, is where would be the real what's really the value of these botnets compared to an extremely popular mobile app? Because let's say that you decide that you want to build the next Angry Birds and backdoor that eventually on some version after it's already been installed 500 million times, and you, the new Angry Birds developer, is now malicious and puts a botnet in there. Now you immediately have 500 million nodes on your botnet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What's the value there of the mobile app versus becoming a botnet?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the motivation of the botnet operators. Is it the intent to do distributed denial service with traffic? And cellular traffic is not great, but if you have 500 million of them, then that's
some percentage is good.
But we've seen the ones with the botnet of Bitcoin miners, and 500 million Android Bitcoin miners, not terribly effective.
Right.
Just because of the paucity of processing cycles on those devices.
And if you were hitting people who are watching Korean TV, they might have low load on their local machines, and it's a different target audience. I mean, it's just like, okay, they may not install Angry Birds, so why not reach out to you know the audience, because you say, wow, every time we release a TV show, 100 million people download it. You know exactly how many nodes you're going to get on your botnet.
I'm not sure I heard you correctly, Doug. I thought you said that they might be blowing their load on their local machine. I mean, what can you...
I think you're just hearing what you want to hear, Job. That's not what I said. But, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Sometimes it's bukkake.
And sometimes bukkake is, we're
going to get the explicit flag now.
Oh my.
Yeah, I think the FCC is knocking on the door.
We got flagged.
That's all right.
Oh, my fault.
So, Patrick, your comment about the mobile devices brings up an interesting sort of segue to my story number 8. In that, yet another reason why I will never run anything out of the Android ecosystem for anything that I care about, for security of my data. In that, for me, the Android ecosystem is still the Wild West as far as what users and what developers can put in the Google Play Store and get people to install. And even to the point that even though Android has a really robust security model, when you say, hey, I want to install this app, and no, I don't want to allow it to get access to my location history and this types of data. There was some analysis done of a bunch of different apps, and that even though you told it, no, I don't want you to explicitly have access to this data, they found ways around those restrictions to still gain access to that data, even though you told it no.
Yeah.
Of
course. Wouldn't you?
I would. I would, but
the data is so valuable that it's just the incentive to scrape this stuff is so high.
Agreed.
And I just absolutely see people doing that. Going, this will reassure people, but we're just still going to take their data. I mean, even if it's just flat out, not even a way around it, it's just like, click the button if you don't want us to take your data. And you go, sure. And it takes your data.
And we're going to take it anyways.
Yeah, the button does absolutely nothing. It just says, data secured, and you move right on.
Right. Because that's how all of our users are.
Yeah.
But still, me personally, I think in the Apple ecosystem that there are fewer ways to get around those types of things, and the checking that is done on Apple's side to prevent some of that type of stuff is more robust.
And I see people that install hundreds of apps. I mean, they just constantly installing something. Oh, yeah, I didn't like that. And then they just leave it laying there, and those apps are sitting there. They may be running in the... I looked at somebody's phone a couple of years ago, and it was just like... She was like, why is it so slow? And I'm like, you have like 19 things running here. I was like, why is this running? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't even use that.
Like I played that game like 6 months ago.
Yeah, for 5 minutes, but it's still sitting there running in the background.
Exactly.
And that game that I looked at was actually collecting data. And and you'd agreed to it to collect data. It wasn't even, it was just like actively saying, yeah, I'm collecting everything you do.
Yeah. This reminds me of my 6-year-old. She has an iPad, and she doesn't remember to close the apps all the time that she was using. And she's like, Daddy, my iPad did something weird. And she's like, I can't join Minecraft. I'm like, okay, we'll bring it here. And somehow, she had turned on the voiceover for all of the buttons. For so you play button. Like, all right, I press the play button. It doesn't play, but it just says the play button. Like, you have to click it like 3 times. So you go into settings, and I had to Google how to turn that shit off because the terms of service came up, and it starts reading the terms of service, and I click the continue button, and it's like it doesn't do anything. It keeps reading. Continue button, and it keeps reading, and I'm like, continue button. Like, keeps reading. Continue button. I'm like, but
power off.
At that point, I'm like, what the hell? So I closed Minecraft and I started again, and it keeps talking to me. And I'm like, what's going on? So I look and I do the double click, and there's like 30 applications open in the back. I'm like, swipe, 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 swipe.
You
swipe,
can do that
swipe,
with 2
swipe,
hands.
swipe.
I saw a guy at the airport the other night going. He had so many apps open.
Why don't you just bring her? I got a game for you. It's called Swipe Up here.
Yeah, swipe left. No,
how
swipe
fast
up.
can you do this? Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You open them, you close them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other, chiming in on what you were saying earlier, Larry, I did some analysis on some of those off-the-shelf Android-based TV apps, right? The streaming video apps, and I just bought a handful of things on Amazon and took them home. And one of the first things I did was I just got a shell on the system and typed SU to see if they were rooted, and probably 50% of them were rooted already.
Yeah.
So it was like, holy I mean, it even surprised me. I'm like, oh my God. Some of the stuff, and it was coming out of China, right? It was pre-rooted. I mean, the thing had already got SU on it, right?
That would be the standard, I think.
But also, how much different is this really? Have you ever experienced the Google timeline? The first time that Google timeline ever comes up in either your email or on your phone, where it gives you a map at the end of the month of all the places you went over the last month. And it's the first time you see that, it's like, what the hell is that? And sure enough, it's showing every day, wherever you drove, wherever you flew. Yep. And once you do it, you can certainly, I can go back for years.
Have you noticed? I've got an Android right now, and one of the things they've started doing is pretty much if in the email application, when you unlock it, it puts a GPS check-in. So it pretty much, when you unlock the phone, it goes, boop, GPS check-in. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know why you know where I am at all times.
Yep. So same thing. It's with my iPhone is also as terrifying. I walk out of the house, I walk up the driveway, I get in my truck, and I put my phone in the phone holder, and I plug it in, and it says, Mastering Martial Arts. Traffic is low, 11 minutes to destination. I'm like, wait, it knows that on Monday and Wednesday I go to there. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't even, and it's a shopping plaza.
Yeah.
So there's like 8 different businesses
That's
there.
pretty precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get it off your calendar. They get it off of everything, and they just track what you've done in the past. Because I know when I do that with my phone, and I get in at certain times a day, because I don't go to the same place every day. And so if I get in my car and I put my phone up and I open Waze, it immediately says, "Are you going to?" And it's got the exact address that.
See, I don't even open Waze. I am literally plugging my phone
into
the charger.
I have that one too. Yeah, I have that one too. So that's the Google part of it, but Waze does it as well, and they're all predicting what you're going to do, and pretty soon it'll know what's best for you.
Yeah, the prediction stuff is.
Google will just tell you what to do. It's like go to Security Weekly tonight.
Yeah,
here are the stories.
Yeah, every Thursday at about 4:30,
Yeah. Well, no. When I got in my car today and I put it in, I opened Waze because I just to track the traffic. It immediately said, it said Quaker Lane, and I was like, yeah, I've been there before. In fact, it said you don't really need to bother to show up, Doug. Just send your phone and we'll set it in a chair.
Hey, no, take it further, right? When we have, driving technology is improving, eventually you're going to get in your car and the phone's going to go, hey, I got this.
Yeah.
You're not that good a driver.
Yep. And hell, you're so shit-faced you don't know where you're going. I know where you're going.
That's how I keep ending up at the strip club.
The phone says, I don't want to die.
Right, Patrick?
Sorry, your rating has fallen too low with me. I'm not driving you anymore.
Skynet, baby.
Wait, I've seen that Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what? No.
I, for one, welcome our new overlords. But
I mean, what's not to welcome about them?
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. As long as we don't invoke Skynet, we're all set.
Oh, we've already invoked Skynet's.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before they come looking for you.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. So just embrace it and go on.
Yeah, I think we still have significant levels of security around Skynet. It just hasn't achieved sentience yet.
No, it's getting close though.
Yeah, it's getting
starting.
really
It's starting, but it's still thinking in Chinese, which doesn't work on Paul's app. So we're all safe.
That's right, man. He is not Unicode away.
But I mean that was tied to your other number 4 story, which I don't have it on my list, but I was going to put it on there.
Oh yeah, this was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, about these idiots that you show up to commit a hate crime and you don't forget to turn your phones off.
And even better, I click on the story and it comes up with a targeted ad apparently.
No.
Yeah,
what is it?
It shows up with a targeted ad. One, Daily Dot wants to show me notifications because fuck no. But it come up with a targeted ad that says the Prime Day daily deals of sex toys. Click
It
here.
knows you well.
Yeah,
Larry, what's scary is I got the same ad.
I'm going to see what I
think
get.
there's a theme here.
I got an ad for turnips.
So you got the ad for sex toys too?
Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
special kind, but
All right. So back to the story. A couple of
3
teenagers, 4.
Oh, was it 4? Yeah, there's 4.
Who were charged with a hate crime, went to Glenelg High School, and then they were wearing masks. And they went to the high school and they painted a bunch of racial slurs and spray paint in front of the high school. And they got caught. They said, nope, it wasn't us. It wasn't us.
They were seen on camera.
They were seen on camera with the masks on, so that their face were obscured. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. But what really got them was that they had their mobile devices in their pocket, their phones. And they had been previously joined to the wireless network at the school.
Yep.
Meaning as soon as they got on campus, it found the wireless network. Hey, wireless network, are you there? Yes, I'm here. Great. Please authenticate. Because the school's wireless network requires that they authenticate with a username and password, which they did. And the username and password had been stored on their phones. So they authenticated as their individual usernames with their passwords.
Yep.
When they came onto campus.
Double dumbass on them.
That's a tough one to deny at that point.
Exactly. And we watch a decent amount of Dateline at our house, late at night after the kids are in bed, just because we need something kind of mindless and we need somebody to explain something to us because we're tired of thinking for ourselves.
It's kind of addictive, too.
It is. It is.
It's weirdly addictive.
Yeah. And it all comes down to more and more of these cases that we're seeing that are relatively modern are all about the technology. Like, we proved that you weren't there because your cell phone pinged off of these towers. I can see that now, if they're not using it already, clearly this case is that the Wi-Fi's are gonna get us.
One of the very first police cases I ever looked at or consulted on was a case where they wanted me to look at some data from a toll booth. And it was Easy Pass. And the law enforcement didn't really, it was a long time ago, but they didn't really know how to interpret what they were looking at. It was just like logs and all this stuff. And there was a guy who was saying, I wasn't there, I was at home, I was in bed. And they said, that's weird, your Easy Pass went through the tunnel.
Yep.
And it was right there. They got the number. We get the number off the Easy Pass, and I said, "Yeah, see, here's a number on the Easy Pass right there." And then and look right there.
There it is, right in the log.
That's where it went through. And then look
I
here.
meant to tell you it got stolen.
Huh?
And there's the timestamp.
Then why is it still in your car now where we just recovered it?
I got it back.
Yeah.
I found
that's if you got a good attorney, and then you haven't already told another pack of lies, and then oh no, my car's been right here all the time.
Right.
It couldn't possibly have been anywhere else.
And this is lots of fun because in the SANS Wireless Course 617 on day 5 we actually start talking about NFC RFID, and we talk about the parking pass stuff.
Yep.
And absolutely, we then run this into unintentionally, but it turns out to be absolutely awesome. It was not the way the course was intended to be written, but it was, we go to the Easy Pass and then we go into some of the Apple iBeacon stuff, and how about all of the tracking and all the privacy stuff between all of this conglomeration of technology is, long live privacy. Privacy is dead. Because
it's totally dead.
I'm saying it's gone. It's dead. Get used to it. Get over it. Because I mean, I was just coming back from Poland, and we were talking about this, and I was saying how, between all of the different things, whether it was my phone, whether it was my credit card, whether it was my face, all those things were recorded multiple times between Wrocław and New York. And Rhode Island, between the toll booths, my license plate going on a camera. I mean, you could recreate everything that happened in that 12, 15-hour period pretty precisely by going through various different groups. And it's getting hard. I mean, it is getting harder for people because you see crimes now, every murder, every rape, every something.
Yeah.
There's multiple phones on the scene, and a lot of the phones are starting to talk to each other. So were you there? And my phone linked up with the other phone because we're already connected somehow. And there's a record,
and
and it's just
there was something similar recently where I saw London was telling people to turn off their Wi-Fi if they don't want to be tracked in the subway system, because as you're moving around the subways, it's connecting. But at the same time, the only way you get onto the subway is through like their Oyster card or whatever it is, which is tied to your credit card or something that you have to scan in, scan out. So it's like they're tracking you.
Same thing. I was just recently in Amsterdam, and all of the electronic street signs and the advertisements on the sidewalk for pedestrians and so forth, and drivers are all video camera enabled, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled. Same thing when we came into Schiphol Airport. As you're going in and out of the revolving doors, there's signs on there that says we track all of our users with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
And just add every single piece of that, and you've given it up. The security's gone. It went away a few years ago.
Well, I mean, you have a choice, right? I mean, you could turn off your radios. You have the choice to turn off your radios. It's entirely possible.
The question is it really possible?
I don't think so. I mean, you can turn off your radio.
Actually, you're right. You can turn the software switch off.
And Geoff, we saw this recently. There was some stories not that long ago about when you put your iPhone in airplane mode, is it really not talking to anybody? No, it's still talking. Some point.
And you're still on a camera, and there's a camera in the seat back, and there's a traffic camera, and there's cameras in the airport, and there's cameras everywhere.
The battery out of it. Well, maybe
and
not.
Put a black plastic trash bag over your head with eye holes cut out of it too. But
more importantly,
why won't stick out?
Why do you need to bring your phone to begin with?
Well, that's actually a good point. Larry nailed it.
So my advice to criminals: don't bring your phone, leave them at home. But then there's so many other tracking mechanisms.
Yeah,
that we've got.
I mean cameras and other people's cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, people see anything going on, they're immediately videotaping it and or cameraing it or whatever you want to call it, and to put it on YouTube in case it's something cool.
Yep. And maybe even not capturing it intentionally. Maybe they're capturing it unintentionally.
Actually, Doug, you just reminded me of a July 4th story. So on July 4th, I tend to blow shit up because, hey, America.
Right?
America!
But
there you go.
We blow shit up that's in the gray area of what's actually legal in this state. I mumbled that.
And you live in a state where that's saying something, right?
Yeah, that's right. That is saying something.
Was it a half stick of dynamite or a quarter stick of dynamite?
That's right. Anyway, I've got the mortar tubes, right? And I roll the mortar tubes out in the middle of the street, and I drop in 6 mortars. And what do? Tie the fuses together because hey, it's more fun that way. But somebody's parked on the street, and what are they doing? They're videotaping the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know him, and as the guy drove off, it actually creeped me out a little bit. The guy drove off. And I looked through his passenger window as he's going around the corner. He's holding the camera up and videotaping me the whole way out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously? So there is no, there's no way to be anonymous anymore. Anytime you're outdoors, you're going to be on a camera somewhere.
Yeah.
So you just pointed the mortar at the car.
I did. And I blew it right up his exhaust pipe and
Ended that problem.
Right up the right,
And
right up the old
they're
poop chute.
doing that with civil cases now.
Yeah.
Immediately are getting private investigators going canvas, looking to see if anybody around might have taped this, might have seen this accident. Of course, we got dashboard cams now. Everybody's putting dashboard cams in their cars so that if somebody hits you or you hit somebody, you got a record of the event, and on and on and on.
You can't even get upset at a bagel place anymore, and people want to record you.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think this whole, I told probably one of my kids one of this the other day. Don't forget, this is one of my taglines, right? Don't forget to live your life. Don't just live your life online, because come on, it's bullshit after a while, right? Get outside, talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Get drunk, blow shit up.
Blow shit up. That's right.
Yep, and Joff, that's exactly sort of what we're doing with our kids this summer. Is that they love their iPads and they love YouTube, and our oldest daughter is on TikTok, and she has asked about an Instagram account, and I'm actually more inclined to give her an Instagram account than TikTok. The deal is that if it's a nice day out, we have a work for food program, in that you're going to do an hour's worth of chores before lunch. So do your hour's worth of chores before lunch. We'll get you some lunch, and then guess what? Get outside, and the iPads don't go outside unless you're creating content. If you're creating, yes, but if you're going to sit outside and watch YouTube videos in the hammock, no. Get outside and live your life and go do something. But if you want to share what you're doing with someone, that's fine. But go do something. Go jump on the trampoline with your iPad.
I just feel like societies around the world, and I think it's particularly bad in North America, but we're turning into voyeurs, right? We're watching life instead of
Oh my gosh,
doing
yes. But my oldest daughter, she loves Minecraft. And she has loved Minecraft for years, and she played Minecraft, and then it turned into watching other people play Minecraft.
Yeah. What's the point of that, really? I mean, come on.
Well, the same thing as watching people play sports.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's like people for a long time have been going to watch people play baseball or cricket or whatever. And
all right.
I mean, watching somebody that's really, really good at a video game is, I've watched people play video games and go, wow, that's amazing.
Take her in the backyard and be like, you like Minecraft? Let's go dig shit up. Let's start digging.
That's a really good fucking point, because
there might be something down there. Let's go see.
Yep. Or more importantly, Daddy's got a bunch of lumber in the shop, and I've got hammer and nails. Let's go build something.
And nails.
Yeah.
What's the recipe for a horse?
2 sticks, a hammer, and a bucket of blood.
There you go.
Right. And glue.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's what you get out afterwards after you put it in the furnace.
I don't know about you, Larry, but you actually brought up a good point. One of my very favorite things to do is unplug, get away from the screen, and actually go outside. And woodworking is one of my absolute favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
Like just put something together with a hammer and nails.
Yep. And we talk about, we had Amanda Berlin on a couple weeks ago and talking about, mental health. And that was one of the things that one of my mentors early on said to me, is that get a hobby that's not technology related. And that he did bookbinding and didn't have any tools that were made before 1800. Or had no tools that were made after 1800 to do his hobby. And for me, while we have modern tools and we use modern tools to access content to understand how we're going to do that, we're still building. We're using our hands. We're using our creative thing. And this comes to, we have something that has evolved in our backyard about this creativity thing. Many years ago, when we had our old house, we had a gazebo. And it was one of those gazebos we bought at Home Depot. And it was 11 feet by 11 feet. Odd measurement. So I built a deck to put this gazebo on, which is 11 feet by 11 feet. And then we built our new house, and we have a deck. Like, now what do we do with this freestanding 11 by 11 deck? Like, we built a shed on it. But the shed had no plans. Like, it was, the wall's going to be this tall, cut it this way, do that. And we built the shed, and we had the shed, which turned into a cottage that we put a wood stove in. No plans. And last summer we said, this clear roof that we have on it to be able to use as a greenhouse isn't working anymore. So we just knocked all the roof off, and I cut the damn roof off, and we put a shed dormer on it. And my neighbor comes out and says, hey, how'd you learn how to do this? What were the plans you used? I'm like, plans?
Trial and error.
Plans? I'm like, I know I want the shed dormer this high, so I cut the board that high, and then I connected everything together. It's like,
right.
That's how this thing works.
In defense of some of us who aren't good at this, some of us aren't as good at that. I mean, if I was doing that, I love the idea.
Yep.
But if I did it, you'd be calling me lefty or, I don't know, righty.
Oh, you don't want to see my vinyl siding that I put on that
I've seen your videos, but I guess what I would tell people is I tell my daughter two things. I tell her, if you want to be the person who did things, be the person who does things. So that was one of my tenets. And the other one is always be doing something that is got thought and creativity in it. I'm not as big on it. It can't be on the screen, and you have to go out in the backyard and whittle yourself an elaborate puzzle. I'm like, if you're doing something that requires thought and makes you think and learn, I don't have a problem with it all being technology. I love technology, and that's all I do. And I play the guitar, but I built a guitar. It was horrible. It's an awful piece of shit that I never played.
But you built it.
I did build it, but I wish I hadn't, because the money would have been spent better buying one, and then I could have spent more time playing. But I mean, do something creative that you are thinking, and if it's on a screen, that's okay. Just don't always be sitting there going, do something that involves you to think or create. Right. And I'm okay with the tech then. Not everybody's good at everything. Just like, people always said, why don't you play sports? And I'm like, because I hate it and I suck at it.
Yep. And that's one of the things that now our oldest is doing. We're sort of getting off the security topic, but whatever. And I think I can tie it back. That's one of the things our oldest is doing now is that she said, Daddy, I want this app for my iPad. And it was it's like Photoshop.
Yeah,
which she can draw, and she's turning into amazing artist with pen and paper, and she wants to move that into some of the digital realm where it's easier for her to erase. And I'm like, the app's like $10. I'm like, that's $10 well spent because literally since she's bought it, she's probably spent 30 hours on this app, and she's got this amazing drawing. She's
I think the thing you guys are pointing out is that you can be creative in technology. I think software engineering is a big creative process.
Yes.
Using paint programs and so forth is a big creative process. It's not just about. I think there's a tendency for a lot of kids at first, anyway, to see the computing devices, whether they be an iPad or a phone or a laptop, as just purely something you consume media from.
Yep.
But when you get into, just like you're saying, Doug and Larry, when you get into a more of a two-way exchange, when you're creating some sort of content, that becomes a very big creative process.
And one more on that, a person that was older than I am was saying, your daughter's always on her phone, and she ought to get, with some friends. And I was like, well, she does that, but I was like, but there's a different paradigm here as well. She was experiencing, she was in Poland with me, and she was on her phone, but she was actually sharing what she was doing with a very large group of people who were all doing other things, and they were all contributing to what she was doing. Right. And I'm like, some of this is just like a different model than what I was doing, because she's got
collaborative experience.
She had a friend who was in Prague. She had a friend who was in England. She had some friends back in the States, and they were all interacting, and she's snapping pictures. It's not just her head in the phone. It's like she is observing what's going on, but she's snapping a picture going, look at this. And another guy was like, oh, that looks like this building I'm looking at in Prague. And then she was like, look at this. This building looks really similar. And I was like, yeah, it's like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, like prime example, I saw some content from Mick Douglas, a good friend of the show for many years. And he said, here, look at me. I'm at this nuclear missile. And, oh, by the way, the missile that's actually the picture for these missiles on Wikipedia is the one that is literally 6 feet away from me. So I thought that was kind of cool. So
there is some paradigm shift, I think, in the world that we have to be careful we don't turn into this. Yeah, kids today and your phones, and because I'm not like that, and I don't want to get like that, because I think there's something else to observe there.
Yeah, agreed. Gentlemen, it's getting late in the evening.
It's been fun.
It is.
It's been fun.
It is.
It has been fun.
I think we should call it a wrap.
Yeah, make sure you get one of these great hats at DEF CON.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Come see us.
Really nice
Yes.
hats. I'm not usually a
Come
hat
see
guy,
Doug.
but I got one. I think so many of us are going to be at DEF CON this year in various capacities and incapacities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Incapacities. Yeah.
Exactly. Me personally, I will be there through Black Hat training to the just about end of DEF CON. We fly out Sunday morning. And for me, it's a particular treat because I've been trying to get my wife to DEF CON since pretty much I've been going, and she gets to go this year.
Man,
Wow.
you guys are making me feel bad. I'm not going to any cons this year, but for Security Weekly, I might just have to fly out to Vegas.
And you know,
Gotta do it.
and you know, Joff, I feel you. I'm going to teach in some really amazing places for SANS this year, and I've had to give up a couple of cons to be able to do that. For example, network security this year, new debut of the 617 course and its updates overlaps with DerbyCon. I'm going to miss the last DerbyCon that I've been to every one and have volunteered for security for.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. This is the only DerbyCon I will not be at.
Same.
I've been at every single other one.
Yep, same, and that's because they changed the dates. I'll be teaching for SANS in Singapore and missing Wild West Hackin' Fest.
Oh man, that's the only one I'm going to actually be at, Larry. So I'll miss you.
Yep, but so I'm like, Wild West Hackin' Fest is my next DerbyCon type of thing, and so I'm kind of sad to miss it, but I'll miss it this one year. But I've never been to Singapore, and I really want to go.
You'll love it.
Priorities.
Oh, I love it. I've
then-
taught there once. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and then I think there's another con that I'm giving up to do SANS London, and I really liked London. I want to go back again. But
Yeah, it's a challenge.
I'm literally home 24 hours from London, and we leave for a 10-day vacation at Disney.
Oh man.
And you got to do Layer 8.
Layer 8 was like bar none. Like that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
So it's the same way, right, Larry? It's about balancing work versus conference less than work sort of experiences, and it's a real challenge because somebody's got to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it was a little bit of a see the world. Join the army. You'll see the world. And for me, that was SANS this year. That I'm going to go see the world on someone else's dime, and I'm going to get paid for it at the same time.
It's the only way to go.
And I'm going to fill the coffers a little bit, which over the last couple of years has been a little bit of a challenge, just because of our personal family stuff. And now that I've already committed to those, life throws curveballs, and those financial challenges just all of a sudden go away.
It does indeed.
And that's going to change over the next couple of weeks for me. But still, they were committed to them. We got to do them, and we're still going to have a great time doing them. And we'll miss you guys at some of these other cons, but we'll definitely see you in Vegas, and great time to be had by all. So
That's right.
So, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Joff, gonna take us out?
I am. And that is a wrap. Security Weekly this Thursday, July. I'm just thinking 11th. There it is. Bull Broccoli over and out.